welcome to another episode of Wrestle Line. And my guest, happily to say, is CJ Carter. How are you doing, CJ?
Hey man, yeah, I'm okay. Some strange times right now, but
Tell me about it.
I'm safe and I guess and healthy. I guess that's what's most important right now, right?
I think so, my friend. I think so. I think that's the most important thing out of all of this. I've had I've just been literally, before we came on the air tonight, I was literally sipping through some emails from some of my listeners, and I find it like really flattering. Some of my listeners, they ask me like sort of direct questions as if I'm some sort of I work for the government. Do I know how long this is going to? And I try to give as much advice as I can, but don't forget, guys, I am only a wrestling podcast. Unfortunately, I am not a man of the inside information like that. But yeah, it's kind of flattering. I keep getting people asking me about this stuff, but yeah, unfortunately, I am not in the know-how. I only cover wrestling at the very least. So, so yeah, man. I mean, before this all happens, like I've got to be honest with you, you're one of the few wrestlers that I see pretty much like a lot of places, a lot of different places.
Yeah.
When I go around, I'm always like standing around, and then you're always like, John, like, hey man, and there we are again. We're back in the small circle of wrestling. Before all this the pandemic hit, how busy and how much schedule did you have before this hit, and how much has had to be cancelled?
Oh man, I'll be honest. I was having the busiest sort of like 3 or 4 months of my whole career leading up to this, and I had going for the next 6 months. I had the even busier 6 months. I was finally starting to the ball was finally starting to roll, and like you said, I had a lot of different promotions coming to me, and I was starting to get about, and I was most weekends I was doing at least 2 shows, if not 3, and then and then it just hit a brick wall pretty fast. My last show was actually March the 8th, and then every show I've had since then got cancelled, and every show I meant to have all the way up until June has been cancelled as well. So and that's including a show that I was meant to be running myself as well. So it just, and who knows when it's going to go back to normal. Well, I guess no one knows. Like you said, people are asking you. Everyone wants to know. Everyone, like, there's just so much unknown, and everyone just wants an answer, even if they know it's probably not the official answer. They just want someone to tell. Yeah, I reckon it will be August, or I reckon it will be July. But like I've seen people promoting shows for June and July, which I don't know. I don't know if we're going to be ready by then. I think everyone's hoping that we will, but
yeah, I think a lot of that is like literally providing hope. Sometimes I think for people, because I mean, if you just like, if every wrestling promotion out there just goes, right, I'm cancelling everything for 2020, let's just write it off. I think
it's hard to take, isn't it?
It's hard to take. Will really sink.
I'm hoping that by August we might be able to start getting some shows going, but that might be a bit optimistic, And I've seen other places have said that they're not starting up again until September, so I don't know. Who knows? Yeah, to answer your question, I was very busy.
No, it sounds it. Now, for some of the listeners that are not as familiar with you, just tell us a little bit briefly how you started in the business and obviously becoming an independent wrestler. Was it something? Are you one of these guys that was like in school and your dream is to be a wrestler, or did it come a little bit later? Tell us about that whole bringing up.
I was one of those kids that it's all I ever really wanted to do, to be honest. From as young as I can remember, sort of like 3 or 4 or 5, something like that. It's like my earliest memories are literally sitting with my dad watching WWF back in the day, and all I ever really wanted to do was be a wrestler. So as soon as I thought I was old enough, I just started looking for wrestling schools in the country. That was at about 14. So as soon as I could get in there, I started training. And at the time, because I'm 33 now, so I'm getting on a bit. Do you know what I mean? And so when
Oh, man, don't have to tell me, I'll tell you.
well, it's
Tell me
like I
that.
wrestle with guys now, and they're like 16, 17, 18, 20, and I'm like,
Mhm.
oh my God, I'm double some of these guys' age. But so
Yeah.
so yeah, when I started out training, there wasn't as many schools as there is now. So it was kind of hard to find somewhere to train, but I found an FWA school that was
Right.
in London that Alex Shane was
Mhm.
running, and I started
Mhm.
training there. And yeah, and it kind of went on from there. That's how it all started.
Was who was teaching? Was it Alex doing it then, or was it somebody else? Like, because
That,
the times I remember with the FWA were like FWA Academy. Like I remember like Mark Salone, guys like that
yeah,
running it. But I'm guessing this was a little bit after that.
it was the same time, but Mark Sloan was running the main school, which was down in Portsmouth, and then
Oh yes, yeah, cool.
yeah, and then Alex had one up in London briefly. It only lasted like a year. That was the problem.
Mhm.
And Alex was doing it, but he closed it down after about a year. So then I had to try and find somewhere else.
Mhm.
And I ended up at Dropkicks
Okay. Yeah.
in Essex, because there was sort of like there was Dropkicks, there was Hammerlock, and there was a few other places dotted around the country, but there wasn't sort of like the dozens of places there are now. Just in
Mhm.
London, there's like 5 or 6 really good schools that you can go to. So
Mhm.
yeah, it was a bit harder when I was starting out.
Yeah, I say that to a lot of people, and a lot of my listeners that listen from overseas, they kind of like started watching a lot of the UK wrestling because obviously we've got like so many promotions going on now and so much talent out there. But people seem to think that the history goes back way back, but it's kind of not like that at all. Because I remember 2002 to about 2004 to really get my fix of wrestling. I would have to literally travel down to London, like York Hall, Bethnal Green, and just watch
Yeah,
FWA. I mean,
that was it.
other than I'd say All Star Wrestling, which come around on the circuit, which still goes to this day amazingly, but that was very family orientated. So
Hmm.
I at the time I was like, I just left school, so I kind of wanted something that was gonna, hit my other interests, and I didn't really know anything about this FWA until like I'd heard something on the radio, and I was like, wow, there actually is UK wrestlers out there, and but other than that, there wasn't a whole lot of stuff around
No,
to just go and see. Like it was very much WWE, and when they come over, that was it. That's all you really knew about. So the fact that we are where we are now, and it still amazes me. Like I say every time on the podcast, that people like Jody Fleisch and Johnny Storm are still running around on the
uh-huh.
circuit like
Yeah.
nothing's changed.
I grew up watching
It's,
them. Like I grew up a big FWA fan, man. Like you, like there wasn't much else. There really wasn't much
no,
else in this country. It was either watch WWF on TV, or you got the wrestling channel that was on Sky for a bit. But
that's right.
and,
Yeah,
and there was
that's what it
the
was. Yeah.
and there was the touring sort of like camp show stuff, like you said, with All Star. But if you wanted something a bit more, adult orientated or more indie style wrestling, there was FWA, and that was it. In the early two
Mm.
thousands, and so I was a big FWA fan. And then after, when that started, when that went, and then there was sort of like a big barren spell for a long time where there
Mm-hmm.
wasn't really much going on, until 2011, 2012 onwards. It started to pick up a little bit when Progress started in
Yeah.
2012, but there was a big, big gap in there where there just wasn't much going on.
Yeah, I kind of remember that because, like, literally after, like, FWA really, they kind of peaked. I think it was like Uprising 3, something like that, where they'd done the Coventry Skydome
Yeah,
with
the
Doug and
Coventry
Alex.
show. Yeah.
We've got such a big build. I remember, like, the boxer Danny Williams being involved in it a little bit as well. And they've really got some good mainstream. But then, unfortunately, after that, it took a massive dip. And then, I don't know if you remember this other promotion. I talk about it a lot, but not many people ever remember it. But I'm going to throw it out there. But do you remember like One
One
PW?
PW.
It's like a
Yeah,
magazine
man.
company.
I remember
Oh
One
man, because
PW. they were the next ones on, like, after FWA, weren't they? You had one
But,
PW.
like, all they would ever book is American stars, to what I remember.
Well, you had Abyss, AJ Styles, Raven,
That's right. Matt
Samoa
Hardy was
Joe,
supposed to be booked once, I remember.
yeah. So
And they did use some British guys, but not many. You certainly wouldn't have got younger guys on the card. It was very much
about the imports. Yeah.
Yeah. So it kind of like, I think in a weird way, it kind of hurt the UK as an industry because there wasn't much future thinking in it. It was good for the time, but obviously just importing people in all the time wasn't going to really help like British wrestlers establish themselves. But yeah, like you say, progress has come along, and obviously like there's so much else out there now, like Rev Pro and all that. And I keep saying this to people, but I've never known a time in British wrestling where there's so many promotions, but not just that, but like so many professionally run promotions. Not like the ones where you walk in sometimes and there's like a freaking gym mat and two wrestlers that even I look like I could beat up. You know what I mean? Like, I've had some real horror stories where I've gone to shows like that, and it's been, it's unbelievable. But
now we're lucky, we're spoiled now. We're spoiled as fans, and we're spoiled as wrestlers that there are so many high-end wrestling promotions who put a lot of time and effort into the production value, who put a lot of time and effort into, making sure they have very well trained, great talent on their cards, and they put the talent and the fans first and foremost, and it's kind of paying off. And I think, like you said, a lot of that came off the back of progress, and people saw that it was possible, but that progress kind of showed that it was possible to have sort of like an over 18s kind of, grunge rock kind of almost ECWS style promotion in this country, and you could get those adult fans in. But there's still a lot of family shows in this country that are still running like really high end shows now, which it just wasn't like that. It wasn't like that for a long time. If it was a family show, then it was very camp show, and it wasn't really anything to cater towards the 16 plus audience once FWA and 1PW went. So yeah, and certainly in the 90s there was none of that. So
no, not at all. I remember recently I was chatting to Phil Powers, and he's still wrestling now. And
yeah,
we were chatting about just how different the 90s were to like now, and just that whole, but it is like a completely different world out there really now in for UK wrestling. I know a lot of people were a little bit negative when the whole NXT UK thing came on board, and people were a little bit suspect whether it was going to hurt the UK industry. But I think in many ways it's kind of helped grow and bring. I still think it's thriving. I don't think it's really. I mean, what we're 2-3 years into it, I don't really see much has changed, even though they maybe taken a lot of stars. Like there's so many talent out there that it's not really going to hurt it. I think like it would if we only had like FWA. That would be a nightmare. It's not like that anymore.
No, and that's the thing. When NXT UK kind of started, and initially it was quite small, and they initially just did the UK tournament, right? And then they scaled up and started signing more and more guys, and people said, "Oh, this is going to be the end for like the UK British indie scene." And I never saw it that way, to be honest. Just as someone who's in the scene and knows how many wrestlers there are and how many great talented wrestlers there are, there's just you could never sign them all. You could just never sign them all, and for every 20 or 30 people that WWE sign, there's going to be another 50 or 60 or 70 people just waiting in the wings, ready to come through, who just want that opportunity. For as many promotions as there are in this country now, and there are a lot, that there are still tons of wrestlers that haven't really had the spotlight shone on them yet, who are great, and they're just waiting to step in when someone gets signed. And so I don't know why people. I guess I kind of understand why people thought that, but for me personally, seeing some of my friends get signed and people that I know get signed, I thought that was great. So for anyone who gets signed, that's an amazing opportunity for them. So that's one great thing. And then the flip side to that is for every person that gets signed, that's a new spot for someone else. So it's like a win-win, really. I don't really see how it could be a bad thing, you know.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you there.